Good afternoon. Today I'll speak about the necessity of children in cinema. Are they necessary as much as the adults are? For this, I have to start with an incident that happened to me in 2016. I wrote a story called Rainbow Jelly, based on a special child who meets a fairy cook in his dream who teaches him to make a magic recipe, having which a bad person would turn into tender, selfless, childlike characters. So in short, this is the philosophy of my filmmaking. Film is what I have felt that cinema is such a powerful medium that touches the inner core of the inner audience, like the dream touches our inner mind. So with my cinema, I want to touch the inner core of the audience. And perhaps with a magic recipe of the film, I can reactivate the inner child self that we all have within. In my own terms, I call it as an aboriginal child self. Now, what we mean about that? When we face hurdles in life, when we face disrespects, when we face unnecessary insults, don't we prefer to be alone? Don't we talk to ourselves? Don't we seek refuge within? Don't we feel bad for ourselves? That being is the aboriginal child self that I feel. And it's not a figure of speech, it's science. It's like the onion having its void within, and it wraps around the covers, the coatings that it has with various colors and shapes. In course of time it grows. So like the onions, what I feel that we all have that void inside, and in course of time, we cover ourselves with the egos and the sheds of characters, but the inner self stays intact. So that is where I want to reach with my cinema. When I say that, I want to use children as one of the key tool in my cinema. I want to use their point of view. I preferably want to say that I want to use the children and the adults, keeping them face to face so that the adults can see their reflection on the child's psychology. So there I feel the psychology of life keeps intact. Since cinema is a slice of reality, we cannot imagine reality without children. So I believe that in cinema, we cannot imagine cinema with the equal participation of children. When I started my film career, I came across a very interesting saying of a prophet filmmaker called Andrei Tarkovsky, who once said that cinema uses your life, not vice versa. This statement is something like a childish statement that a child wants everything unconditionally. So I stick to that. I stick to that still now. And while making Rainbow Jelly, after writing the script, no one was ready to produce it. Everyone was saying that it's too tender, too white, too illogically innocent for this logical, crude world. But I stuck to that saying of cinema uses your life, not vice versa. My wife mortgaged her jewelry, wedding jewelry. We took personal loans in high interest, and slowly, after narrating the scripts, people started gathering around with almost no remuneration or less remuneration. And I was seeing in everyone that everyone was believing in the script. Everyone was believing in that protagonist who was actually saying something magical. So there I found the real meaning of how cinema uses your life, not vice versa. We have almost surrendered to the film. We have almost surrendered to the cinema. And slowly people believed in the system of belief, and they gathered together. And Rainbow Jelly, then it was released in 2018, and it got a very good response. It went to various festivals, many accolades. And from then on, I have made, Rainbow Jelly was my third film, and from then on I have made almost 3 films, one of which Roktorosh was released last year. And I made it a point that children would be in the center of the story. children's psyche would be the center of the psychology of my story. Apart from the accolades that I received for Rainbow Jelly, the most precious are when mothers used to message me, used to text me with the screenshots of their children, handwritten notes that they want to feel like the protagonists have felt in the cinema. They want to know that what would happen to the protagonist next. So I think their cinema uses your life, not vice versa. And why children is very important in cinema, because they would take the cinema forward. As an audience, we are the biggest medium to carry a cinema forward, and you live with the cinema if you have children with you. Now, for cinema as a whole, I personally believed and I personally perceived cinema as a godchild whom I worship. And during these huddles, during this period of Rainbow Jelly, making Rainbow Jelly, I had written a poem with all the experience that I was going through for cinema, for my cinema and my belief with cinema and its innocence. And it's a poem written in my mother tongue. So I would just like to conclude this talk with this poem I'd written 2017. This poem is called O Cinema. সিনেমারে তোর জন্য আমি কতগুলো ঢোক গিলেছি, তুই কি জানিস পেটের ভেতর তোকেই ধরার ঝক্কি বেশি, কারণটা তোর হাত পা ছোঁড়ার মোচড় ব্যথা কোথায় যে নেই, যন্ত্রণা জেদ কামড়ে চোয়াল মাথার ভেতর বুকে মনেই, তোর ওই আঙুল পায়ের পাতা হাতের মুঠোয় নরম রেখায় কোঁচকানো সব ভাগ্য আছে, হাঁটতে শেখে নড়বড়ে গায়ে, সিনেমা আমার ডাগর চোখে অপুর মতো স্বপ্ন দেখিস, ভিড়ের মধ্যে বুকের ধরাস, ভাবিস সবাই শুনছে সে কি, এত হাঁদা তুই বোকারাম, বুঝিস নাকি যুদ্ধ ছাড়া সবার বুকে পিণ্ড পাথর, গভীর ঘুমে খুব বেচারা, সিনেমারে তুই পার্কে গিয়ে আজও একা বেঞ্চে বসিস, ফিল্মেরা সব তাদের দলে নেয় না তোকে, তুই আপ পুলিশ, ওরা সবাই ড্রিবল জানে, জার্সি আছে ওদের গায়ে, তুই যে আসল ছোট্টটি নোস, জানবে ওরা কি উপায়, ঠোঁট ফোলানোয় তোর কোনোদিন কানা করি আস্থা তো নেই, সূর্যটাকে ছুটতে গিয়ে জড়িয়ে ধরা রাস্তা মনেই, ওখান দিয়ে হাঁটতে হবে সবার মনে নাগাল পেতে, নইলে যে হয় সিনেমা বাবু মুভি হবেন খুব অল্পেতেই, রাগ করিস না লক্ষ্মী মানিক, তুই ছাড়া আর কি আছে বল, তোকে নিয়ে দিন কেটে যায় দুর্বল রাত স্বপ্নে সবল, একদিন তুই বিরাট হবি, জানবে সবাই তোর ভালো নাম, জীবন দিয়ে মিলিয়ে দেখিস মা কখনো ভুল বলে না। থ্যাংক ইউ এভরিওয়ান।